Wolfpack, what is going on? Week 16, the semifinals. Huge week. You don't need me to explain the implications, but do or die time. Championship berths on the line. Let's go. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to all of you as well. Best time of the year, of course, because of the fantasy football playoffs, but secondary, the holidays, and hopefully you are all having great holiday seasons. Apologize for the delay getting live this morning. We hosted a holiday party last night, housewarming party. Needless to say, it was a great time, and Wolf is in rougher shape than typical. But hey, I had to get live. I know you guys have your questions, so we are going to dive right on into it. In terms of takeaways for this week, Thursday night, Saturday day football, whatever it is, there was nothing overly actionable. And honestly, right now, if you face anybody, you're probably feeling okay. There was nobody that truly buried you this week. The only real takeaway in terms of actionable, next week you might consider picking up Marquise Brown. Ultimately had a huge day. Hollywood Brown with not huge day, but just 8 targets was ultimately pretty impressive for the guy coming right off of the IR for the year. Still, though, in fantasy championships next week, would you really trust him? Probably not. So instead of wasting time with that stuff, we're just going to dive right into the news of the week. And the biggest news for me, and really all of you guys, would be that Aiden O'Connell is playing for the Raiders, which I know, biggest news of the week. But ultimately, that is huge for those of you starting Brock Bowers, which I know is probably a lot of people in the championships, one of the picks of the year. And also Jacoby Myers in a great matchup here against the Jaguars, the best matchup you could possibly ask for a wide receiver. Sorry, I'm just getting my notes open. Okay, I apologize for being a little late today. Here we go, a little scrambled, but everything is pulled up and we are ready to rock. So yes, Antonio Pierce saying Aiden O'Connell is ready, and then Geno Smith off the injury report as well. That is huge. That preserves not only the value of guys like JSN, DK Metcalf, but also just the game there is much more likely to shoot out, which is great news for everybody on the Viking side and on the Seattle Seahawks side as well. So that is solid to have Geno Smith playing. Michael Penix is in for the Falcons. Ultimately, you got to question, okay, what are they doing here with benching their $30 million quarterback? But then you watch the guy play, and it has just been absolutely embarrassing all year watching Kirk Cousins. And so with their playoff lives still very much on the run, it is not just okay, let's test drive our rookie QB. Let's see what we have. This must be we really think this guy gives us the best chance to succeed. This is the guy they are watching every day in practice. And so ultimately with Michael Penix, I feel like this is good news for Drake London, maybe even Darnell Mooney. I don't know if you can trust the guy after his 0-point day. Honestly, saved my season. The fact that he had 0 points, I only had 1.9 advantage going into Monday Night Football. I thought my season was over in my biggest league, and ultimately Mooney lays a goose egg, which saved me. But needless to say, that was the best moment of my fantasy season, probably fantasy career. Ultimately, that was so sick. But Michael Penix being in at QB, you'd think it has to be an upgrade. I still think with how run heavy they are, though, he's a pretty big stretch in 2 QB leagues. I know you're not considering him in a 1 QB league, but ultimately tough to go to him either way. And then we got Drew Lock. He is playing the starter for the Giants. If you have Malik Neighbors, you were hoping for Tim Boyle. I have Malik Neighbors. I was hoping for Tim Boyle. He was chucking it deep just every single time, force feeding him in. Whoever's been at QB, it really is the game plan. Throw it to Malik Neighbors. So we know the volume will be there, but with Drew Lock, it just has not been productive at all. And so ultimately, not the news that anybody was hoping for to see Drew Lock in there. After Boyle actually looked pretty functional, had the first passing touchdown since week 3. They have 2 touchdowns passing through their last 9 weeks, the Giants. So Malik Neighbors still in play, though, of course, with that volume, with a great matchup against the Falcons as well. But just concerning news that Drew Lock was the quarterback and not Tim Boyle. And unfortunately, the most disappointing news of the week for me is Jameis Winston is the backup. Not only because I love the guy, not only because I want to see him start, but because Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, and my tight end David Njoku, all those guys are so much more viable in fantasy when you have Jameis Winston trucking it deep a million times a game. And so ultimately, too bad to see Jameis. And also for the Bengals side of things, they'll probably still chuck I'm facing Burrow and Chase. Is there anything more terrifying than that, waking up and just reminding yourself you're in a nightmare today? Stinks to see Burrow and Chase on the other side of my matchup, but it also stinks. My only hope is the fact that DTR is so bad. I'm starting actually the Bengals defense, a top 5 defense for me this week. Ultimately, I am hoping that DTR is so bad that they just don't need to throw it on the other side of things. And those of you out there with Bengals who are hoping to ideally see Jameis Winston in there so this game could have the shot of potentially shooting out. All right, we will move on to the running back news. But Wolfpack, thank you so much for being here. We got about 200 right off the jump. You'd love to see that. Please do consider that thumbs up button. It helps the show get out to more people and continue to grow the channel. Here in your semifinals with everything on the line, please do your boy a solid here and hit the thumbs up button. And of course, my man Campanelli is in the moderator's seat. If you do a super chat, you will be happy to have you cut the line and you support your boy, keep the lights on during the holiday season. Thank you again so much for being here. In terms of running back news, Alvin, we did have, I believe, a super chat. We have Fusion V kicking us off. And thank you so much, Fusion V. So before we get into the running back news, let's talk about Cooper Kupp or Kendre Miller. And this is perfectly timed, Fusion V, because I was just about to talk about the fact that Alvin Kamara is ruled out. At this point, you all likely expected that, but it is official. I still go. Cooper or Kendre Miller. My guess, Fusion V, if it was Cooper Kupp, you wouldn't be asking this question. So I imagine you're talking about Amari Cooper here. In which case, so I'll just give you the two versions of it. If it is Cooper Kupp, I would 110% go Cooper Kupp. I wouldn't even keep debating this. I know we had the 0 last week. Terrible weather. The Jets are getting absolutely destroyed right now, though, including through the air. I believe since Robert Saleh got fired, I heard this stat on a podcast I was listening to. The Jets defense would be 31st in terms of points allowed, yards. It is absolutely horrendous. And so, yeah, Amari Cooper, I see your comment there, Fusion. So, yeah, I was going to say, yeah, I like Kendre Miller, but I certainly would never be debating Cooper Kupp versus Kendre Miller. In this situation, especially after the goose egg for Amari Cooper, when Kincaid came back, when Keon Coleman came back, sure, the blow-up ceiling absolutely exists. Last year in the semifinals, we saw Amari Cooper put up, I believe it was 50 fantasy points. This is a different team. This is a different offense, different role for Amari Cooper, and especially with all the other mouths back, I have such a hard time trusting really any Bills pass catcher, which is so nuts to say when Josh Allen continues to put up 44 and 50. It's nuts that really, other than Khalil Shakir, that you can't really trust any of these pass catchers, despite how good he has been. So I do lean Kendre Miller, and I don't love Kendre Miller. I wrote about 4 guys this week, and we're going to talk about quite a few of them in the Verlo mattress sleeper section today. But if you want more intro on Kendre Miller, I do have an article. He does worry me. One, because when did we see this guy actually stay healthy? You might start him first drive, the hamstring flares up, and he's off to the sideline drinking the water. He's the type of classic tub guy that does not stay on the field. So that does worry me. But ultimately, anybody's at risk of getting injured, blah, blah, blah. He just has greater risk than most. 2, what worries me is I think they could get completely swallowed by a Green Bay defense that is top in the leagues in turnovers. Yet Spencer Rattler at QB, maybe bad weather. It's iffy right now, but should be okay. So ultimately, you could see just a complete game flow. Now, maybe he gets the dump offs. He can catch. He is no Alvin Kamara out there, but the guy does have a 3-down skill set. So I think game flow wise, he's probably either way, he's going to be okay. With him, you're just guaranteed the work, though. And so all these negatives I'm pointing out, you're still likely to get 12 to 20 touches. And compared to Amari Cooper, who might not see a single target, I got to go with that. It's not like Kendre Miller doesn't have talent either. The guy is a very, very solid player. Ultimately, in college, was one of the most explosive backs of his class. So I don't love Kendre Miller, but when I'm going against somebody that very, very low target floor, despite the blow-up upside of Amari Cooper, I got to go with the safer floor of Kendre Miller. You know you're going to get at least some volume there. So that's where I lean Fusion V. Ben Madry coming in with a super chat as well. Thank you so much, Ben. Greatly appreciate it during this holiday season. You guys are very kind and generous. Goff or Darnold? I got to go Darnold there. 2 reasons. And the first is this is Goff's second outdoor game all year. And last year, Goff, the fantasy point differential, it's about 6 in terms of Goff at home versus away when you think about the outdoor environment. And then 2 facing the Chicago Bears, are they really going to need to throw? We saw last week, of course, the upside in Goff, 56 pass attempts. When they get pushed, there's nothing better. And you lose David Montgomery. So maybe that does force them into a little bit more of a pass-happy script. But the Bears are much more generous against the run than the pass, giving up the 4th most points to backs. I think Jahmyr Gibbs, good Lord, guy's going to have an absolute day. I'm facing him terrified beyond beliefs. Just had nightmares about him all night. The second thing for Darnold that really works out well for them is they run play action at the 5th highest rate. And the Seattle Seahawks are the NFL's worst team at defending play action. They're actually a pretty good pass defense overall, but the worst team against the play action. So I think Darnold could have an absolute day. The weather, a little bit of concern. There could be an absolute downpour. So make sure you track that weather. If it gets really bad, I might flip that. But as of right now, I love that game. I want to attack it. I think the over-under, I take the over 10 out of 10 times. I think Darnold is in a great spot, especially with that play action passing again today, that I really, really like going him. And then White or Pollard, very good question. I have Pollard higher in the rankings, and ultimately, I feel like I got to switch that. I just feel Rachaad White so secure. Bucky Irving, going to be a Bucky Irving night. Don't get me wrong. Better be, for my sake. Have Bucky Irving in every single league that I am in. Truly, 10 out of 10 leagues, I have Bucky Irving. I'm not playing in 10 out of 10 leagues, but Bucky Irving's the man. Nonetheless, we've seen Rachaad White get there with Bucky Irving still crushing it. And he's been the better bet for the touchdowns, more of a red zone role for Rachaad White. In my matchup, I just realized I have Bucky Irving and I'm facing Rachaad White. So Cowboys, though, 6 most points to backs. No Micah Parsons potentially tonight. I just think you're guaranteed some volume, whereas we saw with Pollard last week, played a little hampered, gets flared up, doesn't get a second half touch. That does worry me. So give me Rachaad White in a good matchup, safer floor. Ceiling might not be crazy high, but ultimately I trust him more than Pollard with my championship berth on the line. Rashik Barron, thank you so much for your super chat. I greatly appreciate it. White, Ford, Rico, flex. I got to go Rico Dowdle. I mean, back-to-back games with 130-ish plus yards. Absolutely getting fed 20-plus touches back-to-back weeks as well. And Tampa Bay, not a bad matchup for backs. Not nearly as juicy as the Cowboys are for White on the other side of that game. But ultimately, you're getting the featured back role for Rico Dowdle. And so I would go Rico there, Rashik Brown, pretty confidently too. Ford, it's just a matter of, do you really want to have anything in a DTR-led offense? I lean to no in that one. And then we got Shakir or Thielen. Very good question, especially with Xavier Legette not in this week, Rashik. Thielen, though, he kicked us in the nuts last week. And I get it. With no Xavier Legette, should be a even more secure role for the guy. But I love what Shakir's doing. He's clearly the number one for for Josh Allen right now. And so the Pats defense in general, there's just no good part of it. Why do we have Gerard Mayo as our coach? I don't know. Defensive-minded coach for a horrible defense. I really hope they fire the guy. The report that he might be coming back. Ugh. But nonetheless, that all just means I like Khalil Shakir. The only issue there is if the Bills just absolutely destroy us, and do they continue to throw it in the second half if they're up by 3 touchdowns at halftime? Maybe not. But ultimately, Shakir, if they're up by 3 touchdowns, I imagine he got there as well. So I go Rico and I go Shakir for these ones. Harry Taylor, thank you so much for your super chat. You guys, 4 super chats. We're not even 15 minutes in. You guys are very generous, very kind during the holiday seasons. I greatly appreciate it. Full PPR, Jonathan Taylor or Rico, Kyler Murray or Darnold? Thanks. Oh, man. That's a really tough one between Rico and Taylor. I do lean Rico a little bit safer, a little bit more guaranteed work. Now, the only caveat to that, Harry, is Taylor, is the type of player that after that completely boneheaded play against the Broncos last week, playoffs on the line, just drops the ball. He's the type of guy that I do see just bouncing back and potentially having an absolute monster day. Tennessee, mediocre at best defense. So I could see, I think the upside is certainly, does Taylor go absolutely nuclear in this one? So as I say it, I'm just like, maybe I do go to Jonathan Taylor. I just feel so safe with what Rico's been doing lately. The matchup is fine against Tennessee. Meanwhile, against Tampa Bay, rather. So very tough. It is. I hate to do that classic ceiling versus floor, but what you're up against. If you're a 10-point underdog, okay, I probably would shoot for the moon and go for Jonathan Taylor. But I do think in most cases, I would lean Rico Dowdle again, just with how good he has been these last few weeks. I'm just going to double check it. I believe it's 130 yards in back-to-back games. So 131, 149. Yeah. So absolute monster, 18, 14, and 15 fantasy points across his last three, running back 4, 14, and 9. Just a really, really safe floor, Harry Taylor. So I'm going to go with Rico there, unless you are a severe underdog or getting, crushed. There's nobody that would have crushed you yet. So, yeah, I'm probably going Rico here. And then Kyler Murray or Darnold. So it's true every week of me. I'm always lower than the ECR on Kyler Murray, -5 spots this week on Kyler Murray, and it doesn't burn me often. When it burns me, it burns hard. Kyler Murray, when he explodes, it is absolutely nuts, Harry Taylor. But for me, I'm going Darnold. Again, just to reiterate the stats we talked about earlier, the Vikings run play action at a top 5 rate. One of the best play action teams. It's a staple of Kevin O'Connell. Makes it easy for his quarterbacks with that play action. And the Seahawks are the stone cold worst team at defending play action per SIS stats. And so I really like this matchup for Darnold. Again, as I said with the earlier answer, the one thing you want to consider is the weather there. There were some rumblings that there could be some significant rain. So I haven't looked into it this morning. I'm not sure what the current conditions are in Seattle. That is the only thing I would consider there, is if it's horrible. Again, we saw it last Thursday, 2 great offenses in the Rams and 49ers getting completely decimated by the downpour. So you do have to weigh that in. If it's really, really bad, I do have these quarterbacks within 2 spots of each other. So in that case, it's probably worth pivoting to Murray. I do think he could have a day. The Panthers can't defend the run, the pass. This is a setup for him where he could kill it. But I also could see a 3-touchdown James Conner day, and Murray has his typical mediocre. Let me just pull up the stats these last few weeks. 11, 17, 20, and 10. I don't know about that. So I'm going to go Sam Darnold there. I feel a little bit safer. So give me Darnold, give me Rico, Harry Taylor. Thank you so much for the support. And again, up to 9 super chats already. You guys are so kind and generous this holiday season. Thank you so much, Tommy Hurley. Half PPR had Nico and Fairburn go versus Herbert and McConkey so far. So I imagine you're a little bit of an underdog. Great context to have, and I do encourage any of you guys to let me know your situation. Even more helpful if you're like, I'm a 20-point underdog. I have a 30% chance to win according to Yahoo, whatever. That stuff greatly helps. The other thing I'd encourage you guys to do is let me know where you're writing in from. I love to hear where the Roto Street is reaching. It really does make me excited every time I hear all the different places you guys are coming from. So feel free to include that in your comments. I'd love to know. In terms of, so I know Fairburn got 7 points, and then Nico didn't have like a classic Nico day. It's actually Tank Dell rising from the ashes this week. Ultimately, that was one of the bigger takeaways, is Tank Dell getting hurt. Yeah, only 7 catches, 60 yards for Nico. So, but you faced Herbert and McConkey, who did, Herbert probably outperformed what you expected to go against Tommy. McConkey, 11 points, nothing crazy there, but a solid day for him. So, McConkey outscoring Nico, Herbert, good day. I imagine you want some upside here. So going with Hubbard, Bucky, Tyreek, who fills the last flex. Love all three of those guys for what it's worth. And I would definitely go all three of those against any of the flexes you mentioned here. I'm leaning Devonta Smith. I don't like Judy with DTR at QB. If Jameis was in, it'd be Judy. We don't even think twice. Top 10 wide receiver, lock it in. Sadly, with DTR, I just can't do it. And then Swift, Roschon's back. Guy's been big player bust all year. Brian Robinson facing that ferocious front seven for Philly. Good, very nice floor for Brian Robinson, but don't love the ceiling, and that's what you need right now. So I would lean to Devonta Smith. I know AJ Brown, he's in, but division on the, they could close up the division. It's not on the line. If they lose, they can still get it, but they could seed things up here, tie it up. So give me Devonta Smith there. It's where I'm leaning, especially with you needing upside. I just don't see Brian Robinson would need to get to 2 touchdowns to really hit his ceiling, and I just don't see that happening against a ferocious front seven for Philly. So I lean with Devonta. I do like you have some big guns in Bucky, Hubbard, and Tyreek, so you still got plenty of life, Tommy Hurley, but I think Devonta Smith is your best option there. Papa Sarno, thank you so much for the super chat and your support of the show. Start of the year with Rice, Pickens, and Monty. Oof. Kamara, Dobbins as well. Brutal injury season for you, Papa. It has been a tough season in general. My 2 injuries were CMC and Godwin. But hey, we're still alive. We're still kicking, as are you. So let's figure out what we got to do. Needs a wide receiver and a flex out of Thielen, Dobbs, and Kendre. For the wide receiver, I definitely go Thielen. Again, no Xavier Legette. Solid enough matchup against Arizona. Dobbs, 2 touchdowns last week. I know. But the weather could be a factor. They could just pound the Saints into submission on the ground. And so I do think Thielen is the safer option with a similar ceiling as well. Do I go Dobbs versus Kendre? No, that's a good question. I would say Papa Sarno, they're facing each other. So I would play it this way. If it is horrible weather, if it's snowing, a blizzard at Lambeau, and I know there is, a chance of that, I would lean to Kendre in that situation if the passing games look like they're going to be impacted by the weather. Otherwise, though, just cold, I think Dobbs is the better play. I'm not super high on Kendre. I know a lot of people probably have questions on him. He's one of the title guys because I knew a lot of people would have questions on Kendre Miller. He, of all the streamers this week, Taylor, Patrick Taylor, Jalen MCmillan, Kendre is the one that scares me the most. Again, the injury history, the Spencer Rattler, he looked pretty good. I won't lie. Spencer Rattler gives me a little bit more encouragement. So I don't think there's like a zero upside to Kendre. He is a talented player. He is explosive. If Spencer Rattler can get it done, and this offense is competent against a middle-of-the-road Packers defense in terms of matchup for running back, 17th most points allowed to backs. So really smack dab in the middle. Kendre could get there. I worry about them getting swallowed. I worry about Kendre Miller, potentially flaring up with something because he's just always in the tub. But if it's bad weather, they're going to have to pound the ground game. Kendre can get it done. We've only seen him get 10 plus carries in 3 games, and he's been a running back 2 in all of those contests. So there's definitely upside to Kendre. He is a talented player. It's just a matter of injuries, a matter of an overall offensive environment here. But I do think I go Kendre more often than Dobbs. Even with weather not a factor, I probably end up, as I talk about it, going Kendre Miller here. So go Thielen for sure for the wide receiver, and then I go Kendre as the flex. Ryan Rodell, super flex, full PPR, pick 4. Thank you so much for the support, Papa Sarno and Ryan. Thank you so much here. Tough matchup, Drake May, Shakir, McMillan, Patrick Taylor, Kendre Miller. I like going typically in Superflex. I lean to the quarterback, and I like Drake May this week. I think they're going to definitely need to be chucking that thing to have any semblance of hope. They're not going to beat the Bills. I understand that. 14-point underdogs here. But even better for Drake May when you're down that big, playing catch-up mode against the Bills defense. And we've seen it work wonders the past 2 weeks for Stafford and then of course, Jared Goff last week with a 45-point effort. When you're playing catch-up against the Bills, it can really lead to some huge fantasy outings. So I like Drake May here. You got good options. A lot of the sleepers we're going to talk about in the Verlo segment here, but ultimately none of those are enough for me to bench a quarterback in a Superflex league, Ryan. So I do lean with Drake May here. Vikings or Bengals defense, thanks and happy holidays. Happy holidays to you too, brother. I greatly appreciate that. That's the classic matchup versus talent. We saw with the Broncos last week that matchup really does, trump anything. Rather than last week on Thursday, they only had 2 points, and so it's not like the Vikings are in a bad spot though. Again, with weather coming on, I lean Vikings. They've just been, again, the best defense of the year so far. I know the Bengals versus DTR, very tempting. That's who I am starting. They're my number 5 defense of the week. The Vikings are my number 1 defense, though. 7-5, 7-8. Nothing crazy in their last 4 games for the Vikings, though. So I get why you're asking. And I look at 11, 13, and 11 in the weeks before that. Seattle giving up the second most sacks of the year, too. And then you have a defense that's phenomenal at blitzing, phenomenal at generating pressure. So I do lean with the Vikings defense here. I think it's a good enough matchup. Possibly some weather that makes it even more slick out there for them. So I lean, and plus the Bengals, I'm starting them, but that defense blows. I don't think DTR will do much, but again, you're relying on one of the worst defenses in the NFL at the end of the day, too. So give me Vikings. They're my number 1 defense of the week. Happy holidays to you, Ryan. Drake May and Vikings there. John D., thank you so much for the support. You guys are awesome. You're so generous here in the holiday season. Santa emoji and all. Love or Darnold? Ooh, good quarterback question to kick things off here because you got a great matchup for Jordan Love, a pathetic New Orleans defense there. I think that's probably where I lean, though. Very tough question because, again, we keep bringing up with Darnold just to reiterate the stat. They're a top 5 play action team, and Seattle is the worst team at defending play action, according to SIS. But then Love gets New Orleans. But the weather could be a factor in both of these games. John D., put me in a pretzel here early on a Sunday. I think I lean Jordan Love ultimately. But they could just pound it. I got to flip it. I'm going to go Darnold here. I'm going to flip it in my rankings as well. That play action stat really just it tilts the edge for me here into Sam Darnold's favor. And then I definitely go Minnesota D over the Colts. Another one similar to the Bengals, but I feel even less good about the Colts. Mason Rudolph is a good matchup. There's no doubt about that. But he's not quite as good as if they were facing Will Levis, the pick 6 machine over there. So give me Minnesota. Give me Darnold. And in terms of I got to go Pollard there. I know he's a little banged up. I know there's a risk of re-aggravation. We saw it last week. It really sucked. But I got to go with Pollard. Etienne, you never know how that game flow is going to work in his favor. It's a good matchup, but if they're up, Bigsby's going to be the guy, and it's just a mess of a backfield. You know Pollard is going to get probably 15-ish touches as long as he's in, and he's going to play today. He's expected to play according to Adam Schefter. And Amari Cooper, again, Week 16 last year, if you want to play the simulation game, we're all just kind of repeating history. He had 50 points. Very tough to – I always hate saying bench Amari Cooper at any question because you guys could be coming in next week saying, thanks for recommending Amari on my bench when he had 50 points. But 0 points last week, and that came in direct correlation with Kincaid coming back, with Keon Coleman coming back. So when all the weapons are there, it is just so tricky to trust anyone other than Khalil Shakir. So I'm going to go Pollard there, John D. So give me Love, give me Minnesota, and give me Pollard there. Thank you so much for the support, John. American Dream coming in with a super chat. Thank you so much, American Dream. Bench 1. Very, very tough question. I think here I'm going to bench Stevenson. Now, it's a great matchup. Buffalo, if you're going to beat them, it's going to come on the ground. 3rd most points allowed to backs. So that makes me really nervous to bench Stevenson. But if they get up, again, 14-ish points, last week we saw Antonio Gibson become much more of the 3rd down catch-up mode back. And it's kind of flip-flopped through the season. We've seen games where Ramondre has been that guy, but lately the most recent evidence suggests that's still going to be Gibson. And I love McMillan this week. What is it? 16, 20 points in the last 2 games. The career high first read target rates, 26 and 23%. So I like McMillan carving out a real role for himself here. Trayvon Diggs out. Great matchup against the Cowboys. Shootout-style game tonight. But then are you relying on too many bucks? Rachaad White and McMillan. But it is a great matchup. You know what? I do have Stevenson a spot higher than White. I only recommend him because I do feel a little safer with White. But thinking about going $2, it is a type of matchup, the type of defense where you can certainly load up this offense. But I'm going to go Stevenson and McMillan when I come to think of it, because the Pats are going to try to attack with Ramondre from the jump, and he's not too far removed from a few big days. I was hoping for better things against Arizona last week for Ramondre, but ultimately, and this is half PPR, so I'm going to double check it in half PPR scoring. 9-11, 3-11. Oh, it's been pretty bad for Stevenson. I'm going to go final call, American Dream. I know I'm flip-flopping on you. I hate to do that. I think the Bucs are just going to pile on points tonight. So I like McMillan. I like White. I'm going to make sure to adjust Stevenson and Rachaad White in the rankings. So let me just kind of make that move while it's fresh right here. I'm going to go both Bucs, McMillan, White, and just ride that game tonight. Alrighty, I believe that wraps up. No, we got a few more super chats right here. My man, Mountain Man, thank you so much for the support. I see it at the end of the message. You saw the DM. Had to get back to you. Sorry, I missed it yesterday on you. Other league down 30 points. Oh, brutal. All right, so pick 2. Aaron Jones, Cup, JSN, and Dowdle. So I do lean JSN as my favorite option here. And then I would go towards Cup is the ceiling. Dowdle is the floor. I do personally think, especially this one, you're down 30 points, but that's your other league. If you were down big, Cup's certainly the play. The Jets have been getting absolutely murdered. Just look no further than both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson putting 20 points up last week. They were in the shootout game against the Jags. It was Brian Thomas and Brenton Strange. That's what I meant to say on the other side of things. Putting up a ton of points, a ton of catches. I could see Cup really having himself a day. So in full PPR, I do lean JSN. I do lean Cooper Kupp. Dowdle is definitely safer than Cooper Kupp. Again, 130-plus yards in 2 straight games. So I think Dowdle's a very, very close third in this question. And if this is one, you're not down 30 points, you're just you're up by 10. You're a favorite. Maybe I do pivot to Dowdle, but me personally, I think I'm going to go with JSN and then Cooper Kupp. Despite that 0 last week, this is the type of guy that I would trust in my semis. Oh man, it is scary though. Don't give me that. Part of me is like, maybe I do pivot. I'm going to go JSN. Final call, JSN Dowdle. I hate doing that. I've done it a few times this show where I pivot, but I just kind of think through the numbers. I think if I'm looking at that, who am I going to click into my own lineup? And maybe Kupp has a masterpiece against the Jets. Again, very possible after what we saw with Brian Thomas. But him and Puka really have flipped. Like it's Puka's my wide receiver 4. Cooper Kupp's my wide receiver 18. And one stat I heard was the last time they faced a slot funnel defense, the Bills, was the highest slot rate for Puka Nacua. They kind of put Puka right now as that chess piece to put him in the most advantageous matchups. So I'm going to go with Dowdle. The guy has been rock solid. The matchup's fine against Tampa Bay. I think you're getting 100 yards. Maybe you're getting a touchdown. So give me JSN and give me Dowdle in this one. Ryan Rodell, thank you again so much. Pick 4 players. I'm so sorry, Ryan, that I did not read that carefully enough. And now you had to super chat me a second time. I really, really appreciate the support. I appreciate you double super chatting. And I'm very sorry that you had to do that. Let me find your question again, Ryan. I saw the PK4. I should have known that meant pick 4. I don't know. I thought like 4-point passing touchdowns, which I was like, oh yeah, it makes sense in a super flex. I should have known that meant pick 4. My bad, Ryan. Thank you again for double super chat, and you shouldn't have had to do that. But I really, really appreciate you doing so. Pick 4, tough matchup. Okay, so Drake May is the one I'm certainly going to lock in. And then in terms of Shakir, McMillan, Taylor, and Kendre, so we're really just benching one, but it would have been the easier way of asking this one, Ryan. I'm going to bench Kendre Miller. I love Shakir, as we mentioned, as the only real pass-catching option that you can trust for Josh Allen. McMillions, I love the first read target share, getting back-to-back highest it has been all season, and clearly designed part of the attack. Then you got Cade Otton, who hasn't really been a factor these last few weeks, but just another mouth to remove. Wheels up for McMillan. He kind of reminded me right now of, rookie season Amon-Ra when he went nuts down the stretch. I don't think we'll get quite to that level. McMillan's not the main vein of this passing attack like Amon-Ra became, but I think we're getting yet another score, another good game out of him. And then Patrick Taylor, really big fan of him. Lead driver of the 49ers backfield. 9 out of 14 weeks has been a top 24 running back. 6 out of 14 has been a top 12 running back. Just the Shanahan scheme is absolutely gorgeous. This guy's a big body, kind of a profile of an end zone, a drive capper type of guy. And against the Dolphins, middle of the road matchup, but they've given up the 4th most rushing touchdowns on the year. So I do like Patrick Taylor today. So Kendre Miller, the one that has the most risk in my opinion. Ryan, thank you again so much for your super chat. Sorry again to miss that. It meant pick 4. I thought it, for whatever reason, I thought that meant 4-point passing touchdowns, and that ultimately just made me kind of breeze passing. I was like, oh, yeah, standard passing touchdown situation. My bad, Ryan, but thank you again so much. Excuse me. We got Snoopy coming in with a super chat. I love the peanuts, so good stuff. Nothing better than the Christmas movie for Charlie Brown here. Devonta Smith or Brees, thank you. Happy holidays. Thank you so much, Soupy, for the support. Great question. I think I'm leaning Brees. We had a few comments from the coaches suggesting they're going to unload him this week. Brees is rolling was one of the comments. And then he put up the Instagram post, time to feed me type of thing. So I think the volume's good. The matchup against the Rams is beautiful. I know Isaiah Davis has been showing well, so he's not going to just disappear. He's a good pass-catching back in his own right. But I have a weird feeling Brees is getting in for 2 touchdowns today. Devonta Smith also scoring last week. Beautiful to see. It is tough, but I'm going to lean Brees Hall. Very, very close call. Good matchups for both. I do like that divisional battle. But we just know that, if the Eagles – are in the right script, they're going to just run, and run some more. And I have a feeling they kind of show the Commanders who their daddy is, and they just dominate that game. So I'm going to lean Brees there. Happy holidays to you as well, Snoopy. You guys are so kind and generous. We're already up to 16 super chats. We have not even hit the 45-minute mark, or a little over a half hour. But still, I haven't even been able to get to my wide receiver notes because you guys are so kind and generous. Thank you so much. It is so greatly appreciated this holiday season. Emmanuel. Speaking of the holiday season, Emmanuel. Flex spot. Bucky Irving, T. Higgins, DJ Moore. I will openly admit I am the most biased man in the world when it comes to this question because I have Bucky Irving in 10 of 10 leagues. I am the ultimate Bucky Irving fan, but I love him. Practicing in full, getting a great top 6 matchup against the Dallas Cowboys tonight. Now, T. Higgins obviously in a good spot as well. No team's giving up more big plays than the Cleveland Browns. So I do love him. But, man, I cannot get off Bucky Irving. And this is the healthiest he's been in a few weeks. Part of me just thinks they're going to just give him like 20 carries and he goes absolutely bananas tonight. And even if not, even if it's only like 15 touches, we've seen how efficient this guy is with every single touch that he gets. So give me Bucky Irving. I need a big one, Emmanuel. So again, I'm admitting my bias, but I also think my bias is for a good cause because Bucky Irving is the absolute man. So I'm going to go Bucky Irving very slightly over T. Higgins. DJ Moore against Detroit, obviously a great matchup too. You have 3 amazing options here, Emmanuel. Wealth of riches. Are you just trying to come here and flex on us? But I do go Bucky Irving for that one. Very, very good options though, Emmanuel. My man Austin, what's going on? Happy semifinals. Are you facing the legendary showdown there over in that league? Let's find out. PPR Wolf, Coker, J-Mac, Judy, Tracy, start 2. J-Mac. Hey, put me in who the hell is J-Mac? Oh, McMillan. You guys, it's like a decoding game half the time with the way you guys ask questions. I love it. Putting Wolf's noggin to the test. I got to go with Jalen MCmillan for sure as my favorite option of this bunch. Then it gets really, really tough, Austin. But we're going to rave about Jalen MCmillan later in the Verlo segment, and we've already talked about him a few times. Again, the highest back-to-back weeks first read target share, clearly a part of the game plan. 3 yards per route run 2 weeks last week, 2.5 the week before. He hadn't been at 1.4. Like the guy's just kind of, we're seeing him blossom right before our eyes. What I tweeted out earlier this week, and I fully am all in on the Jalen MCmillan show. I just think he's such a great talent, and with no K-Dot, even more target consolidation. K-Dot's not like this vacuum right now, but I think Mike Evans is going to eat, and I think Jalen MCmillan is going to get a hearty helping himself today. And the fact that Cooper Rush, I know on the Dallas side, but the fact that he's playing really well these last few games, just the shootout upside is even better there. The last option is very tough. And I myself, I have Tracy in my flex right now. Austin, I really don't want that. Maybe he goes off, but 1, he's banged up. 2, Devin Singletary's working and more. 3, Drew Lock's at quarterback, and he just sucks. Oh, man. It would have been so easy if Jameis was quarterback. I could just be like, Judy, we don't ask questions about Judy anymore. He's a top 15 wide receiver. But DTR's butt cheeks. Coker coming off a huge game. No Leggett. Oh, man, Austin. Jalen MCmillan's the clear one for me here. Gun to my head, I think I'm going to go Judy and just stomach the quarterback woes and hope DTR is not as bad as I think he is. Tracy just worries me too much right now. My man Manny, thank you so much for the support, brother, each and every week. And best of luck, Austin. I hope you get in those finals as well, and thank you for the support. We need a quarterback, Goff or Purdy. I'm going to lean Purdy there. Goff does make me a little nervous with the second outdoor game and just knowing historically that is an actual concern for him. And then we've got Ertz versus Strange. I'm going Strange, baby. 12 targets last week. 11 of them were first read targets. So a clearly designed part of the game plan was Brenton Strange. I'm all in on him. I'm starting him in my main league over David Njoku, Manny. Ertz coming off the injury, likely to play, but still, I mean, he has been rock solid. Don't get me wrong. These last few weeks, you got the revenge game narrative against Philly too. But I lean Brenton Strange. He's just, I've had him locked in all weekend, and I feel good about it. Luis Perez, thank you so much for the support each and every week, brother. You're very kind and generous. PPR Strange or Hawk. Now, as much as I do love Strange, was just hyping him up. I got to go Hawkinson here. Again, those play action stats, but no team is worse at defending the play action than the Seahawks. And the Vikings run play action at a top 5 clip. And Hawkinson's one of the big beneficiaries of that. The biggest beneficiary has actually been Jordan Addison, not Jefferson, which is kind of crazy. The highest target rate in play action passes is Jordan Addison. Still, though, Hawkinson, he's back to an every route player, even with Oliver back. You know, he's fully healthy. And last year, we would have been talking about the number 2 tight end, and he seems he's moving just as well as last year. So I got to go Hawk there, very slightly over Strange. And then we got Raw, Neighbors, McMill, Thielen. So if Raw is an option, you're talking about Amon-Ra, we're locking him in. We always lock in Amon-Ra. That shouldn't be a question. And while I do love McMillan, and while Drew Lock does worry me, I still got to go Neighbors. The man is just so talented. The volume is truly, truly elite. Just grab my plug here before my computer dies on us. All righty, that's plugged in. We are ready to roll. But yeah, Neighbors, I heard this stat the other day in terms of expected fantasy points. Not even just a wide receiver. No single player has more expected fantasy points than Malik Neighbors. That's kind of a volume-driven stat, but it tells you how much should this player be scoring on the volume they're scoring or the volume they're seeing. And Neighbors is just the number one in terms of any type of volume-based metric. And he's so talented that it's like it's not a matter of his ability. It's a matter of his quarterback, of course. And, of course, you'd rather have Tim Boyle, anybody other than Drew Lock, but maybe Drew Lock implodes and he gets benched at halftime. And either way, even if it's Drew Lock, when you're seeing 13 targets a game, Malik Neighbors can get it done. And I love McMillan. I do like Thielen a bit today too, but I got to go Amon-Ra and Neighbors. Now, if Ra's not one as a typo and you need another one, I would rank them Amon-Ra, then Neighbors, McMillan, then Thielen. I would rank them exactly how you have it typed in, Lewis. Galactic Ghoul. Fun name there. Half PPR, pick 2, Miller, Tracey, Swift, or Stevenson. So Stevenson is a tier above the other three, in my opinion. And then you got those three in a tier all around each other, all in the running back 28 through running back 30 for me. Galactic Ghoul. So that is a very, very tricky one after Stevenson. But I do think against the Bills, third most points to backs, they're going to try to feed Stevenson early to keep Allen off. Does it work? We'll find out. But the Bills have been easy to run on this entire season. I think I lean Tracey versus Kendre is very, very tough. I'm not into Tracey today. I don't know. He scares me. He's my flex, and I'm terrified of him. I'm looking at other options. I'm looking at maybe even putting Debo back into my lineup. 4-point day last week. Atlanta's not a good defense, but they're better at the run than the pass. I don't know. Am I just getting too spooked by Tracey for no reason? 17 and 14 the 2 weeks before, I should feel confident in this guy, and yet I just don't. Man, very, very tough question here. I think I still trust Tracey a little more than Kendre, though. Is where I'm ultimately going with this one. And I don't trust Swift with Roshan back. So I'm going to go Tracey, and I'm going to go Stevenson, Galactic Ghoul. And I'm hoping for my own sake that Tracey's better than I'm expecting. But he does make me nervous. There's truly no doubt about that. But yeah, give me Tracey here. Very, very close, though. Very tough. Phantom, thank you so much for the support. Very kind and generous of you. So much generosity. We're up to 20 super chats. I haven't even been able to get through my news because you guys are so generous. We're not even in the first hour, and you guys are just so kind, and it's so humbling. Thank you so much. Free way to help your boy, though, if you're not super chatting. And I will get to all the questions for those of you that might be new. I do always give priority to super chats. You guys get to cut the line. If you're willing to support me financially, of course, you deserve to go first. But I will get to your questions rapid fire at the end, of course, as well. Free way to help your guy out, though, is a thumbs up button. It helps us get out to more people. A like, a subscribe to the channel if you enjoy what you're hearing. We're not going to get to 5K, but we're at, approaching 4,600. Maybe we get close. Maybe we kiss that number. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, any subscribes, any likes, and of course, RotoStreetJournal.com is where you can find all of our content, including my updated rankings, which after the show I will be putting live. I'll tweet it out at RotoStreetWolf when it is officially live, but it's typically about 10 minutes after the show to make adjustments while we talk, because you guys want to make sure my answers reflect the rankings I'm putting out there to everybody. The number one ranker in Week 15. We'll see how Week 16 goes, but hey, proud and pumped to see that according to Fantasy Pros. And you guys are so awesome for your support. Thank you again for being here. All righty, Ertz or Pitts? I got to go Ertz. Penix, maybe he unlocks Pitts. And then maybe I trust Pitts next week if I see it. But Pitts is certainly in that need to see it before I believe it type of play. And Ertz has just been rock solid these last 4 weeks. I believe he is the number 3 tight end in scoring, especially in full PPR too, even better for Zach Ertz. But not on the season, but over the last 4 weeks in terms of that number 3 ranking, he has been rock solid. So I actually don't even have him in my rankings because I was assuming he was going to be out. So let me just quickly pull that up, and I'll show you guys where Zach Ertz is going to rank today. Tight end rankings. Or do I have Ertz already in? I don't think I do. Ertz. Yeah, here he is, Zach Ertz. So we'll find out exactly where Zach Ertz is going to rank Phantom in just a second. But I do know he's going to be above Kyle Pitts. That much I can guarantee you. So I would go Ertz over Pitts. So let's see where he slides in. I would put Ertz right here, right above Jake Ferguson, right below Brenton Strange. I am going to bump actually Brenton Strange above Tucker Kraft as well. Please ignore that Pat Frymuth ranking. What a bust he was yesterday, huh? And then in terms of your other question, but yeah, tight end, I would actually put Ertz above Kraft, I think. Yeah, that's where Ertz will set on tight end 11 there. Just been so rock solid these last few weeks. And you got the revenge game narrative. All righty, 1 point PPR start. Kenneth, Walker, or Tracey. I would go to Walker. I know it's risky coming off the injury. I know Charbs looked good. Maybe he does force us into more of a timeshare. But ultimately, I got to go with Ken Walker. So talented. They really took their time with the guy, too. So I bet you he's at full health. And whenever he has been healthy, he has been the clear-cut lead back over Charbonnet. I saw Charbonnet was named a captain today, so maybe something to consider. But I'm going to go with Ken Walker because either way, you're looking at 2 committee backs. Which one do I want? A Seattle Seahawk offense or do I want a Giants offense? And I think it clearly leans to the Seahawks there. Thank you so much, Phantom, for your support. And FC Ware coming in with a very, very generous $10 super chat. Humbling, FC Ware. That is so kind of you. So generous this holiday season. Thank you so much. Tracy, Judy, Strange, Bigsby, Charb need a running back and a flex. He has Walker. So if you have Walker, you can't play Charb. And I do play Walker over these options as well. So I get where you're coming there. And then, sorry for the mute. My mic just unplugged for a sec. Judy, I mean, is it crazy to want to go Strange here? I don't know. I feel so secure on him, and it's full PPR. We're talking 12 targets last week, 11 catches, and full PPR. That's a scam. And it's just like, we saw with Evan Ingram for so long. It's just part of the Doug Peterson offense. And Strange is doing just as much, if not more, than what Ingram was doing with his touches. He's been a top 12 tight end in 4 out of 5 games without Ingram. Sees great volume. And then I look at like Judy, Bigsby, Tracy. They all have so significant warts, whereas Strange, I'm just like, wheels up. So I'm gonna lean Strange. I know you need a running back too, so I go Tracy and Strange of these ones. I feel like Tracy's just definitely a tier above Bigsby. Charbonnet makes me nervous, especially if you're already starting Walker. So FC Ware, yeah, I'm gonna go with Tracy. Excuse me, and then I'm gonna go with Strange there as well. Thank you guys. Let's get a quick water down here. Sorry, I should have used that. Flex, Stephen Youngberg, thank you so much for the support as well. Flex, Madison, Amir Abdullah, Swift, Reed, Patrick Taylor. Thanks, man. And thank you so much, Stephen, for the support. To me, it comes down to Jaden Reed and Patrick Taylor. I don't consider any of the other options above them. Very tough, though, between those two. Give me 1 second. I just got to clear my throat. Thank you for that pause. I had like a phlegm stuck in there. Disgusting. Patrick Taylor is the play for me, though, Stephen Youngberg. Love the stat I tossed out earlier. I don't know if you heard it. 49ers running backs in 9 of 14 weeks have been a top 24 back. In 6 of 14 weeks have been a top 12 running back. Now, I don't think Patrick Taylor is ultimately talented enough to be a top 12 back, but what if he falls in twice? Just 2 weeks ago, we saw Garendo, 70 yards, 2 touchdowns. This is a big body. Shanahan was hyping him up, saying, we're excited for him to finally have his opportunity. You're looking at probably 15 touches at minimum in one of the best backfields in the game. It just doesn't matter who Shanahan's back is. It's going to be a productive day. The only risk is if he starts to play a little game and Izzy comes in, or, he is fat. Izzy is like the classic Shanny back, but he's not in his career. Taylor, according to Shanahan, has earned this opportunity. I think he feeds him. And so I do lean there. Reed, I love the potential blow-up upside against New Orleans. They give him a ton of big plays, a horrendous secondary. The weather, though, is sketchy. And what if they just pound and pound and pound the rock? He's so inconsistent. So I would lean into the volume of Patrick Taylor for that one, Stephen Youngberg. Great volume in the best possible backfield. I lean with that one. My man BK, what's going on? Thank you so much for that $10 super chat. Very kind and generous of you. You guys are just, this is crazy. The fact that we have 23 super chats and we're not even an hour in. You guys are so kind, so generous. Semifinals, baby. This is what it's been. Oh, let's go. I'm so pumped up for today. This is going to be awesome. And I don't have work tomorrow. Teacher, school break. Let's go. Gonna have a Sunday fun day. There's no doubt about that. But BK, my man, let's go. This is the dream. Starting Rich. Okay. The media, I love everything else I'm seeing. Puka, Jefferson, Jacobs, Mixon did suck. That sucks because he's been such a monster for most of the season. But the Chiefs are one of the hardest run Ds. There's no way you could have benched him, but so tricky. Need a flex. I think we were texting about this one earlier this week, weren't we, BK? We need Strange, Malik Washington, or Tim Patrick. And I would say, BK, is there any other quarterbacks? I don't know. Maybe I'd hate to pivot you off A-Rich and gets his 2 rushing touchdowns, goes for 24. Very possible. I'm just always lower on this guy. I don't trust him at all. I just don't also know who else would be out there for you. So maybe that's a tough pivot, but I don't love A-Rich for – shoot me a text, BK. I know you have my number. So I'll weigh this in, but if there are any other quarterback options, I'd at least consider them over A-Rich. But let's dive into the question you have put out in front of the folks here. Madison, Strange, Malik Washington, or Tim Patrick. Call me crazy, BK. Also, I'm going to text you about this one too because I'm a big Malik Washington stan as well, but I'm going Strange. I know we talked about him earlier this week. And 12 targets, 11 of them first read targets. Clearly a designed part of this attack. And Mac Jones, the other stat in Strange's favor is Mac Jones, since he, for his career, nearly a 26% target share to tight ends. He's been a top 5 quarterback in terms of target rate to tight ends. So give me Strange. I think that is for real. You're a PPR league and another 10 catch day. As crazy as that sounds, 10 catches for Bretton Strange. He had 11 last week. And great matchup. The Raiders give up the 4th most points to tight ends, 4th most receptions on the year to tight ends as well. So I'm going to lead Strange. Now, I do really like Washington. He intrigues me. I'm debating myself. And so I want to text you about BK Tracey versus Washington for my flex. He had 50 yards last week. Tyreek's a little banged up. No Waddle. I'm a fan of Malik Washington. I think he's a phenomenal player. Loved his college tape. Loved his college production even more so. I like Malik Washington, but I still am leaning with Strange. Thank you so much again, BK, for your generous support. Gil Villatro asking, thank you so much, Gil, for the super chat. I really, really appreciate it. Strange or Hawk? So again, all the hype I just gave to Strange. I do love him. Don't get me wrong. But TJ Hawkinson's an absolute stud. He's my tight end 5 on the week. Love the matchup against Seattle, giving up a ton of points against play action, which the Vikings run. I think it's just a great matchup for this entire passing game. So I do like Hawk a little bit more than Strange, and I love Strange. This is not me trying to say I don't love him anymore. I still do, but Hawkins is just that good. And then Myers or McLaurin. Oof. That's a really tough one, just given normally it wouldn't be tough at all, but you got a great matchup for Myers against the Jags. You got Aiden O'Connell back, which is huge for his value. But given the standard scoring, I do lean to McLaurin because in standard, you prioritize big plays and you prioritize touchdowns. And McLaurin has just been a touchdown maven this year, up to 11 on the year? Beast. So I'm going to go Hawkinson and I'm going to go McLaurin for that one, Gil. Thank you so much for the support. We got Jay Dusky. Thank you so much, Jay Dusky, for your generous support of the show. Of your boy. Thank you. Holiday season. This all means a lot, guys. You guys are so kind. Very humbling to see. Start 2 in full PPR. Walker, Marvin Harrison, Addison, and Kendre. So my lock here is Addison. I can't get off him this week. To continue to repeat the stat, the Seahawks are horrible at defending play action. Sam Darnold and the Vikings are running play action at a top 5 rate against the team that is the stone worst at defending play action. But even a step further than that, Addison is actually the one who has been targeted the highest clip on the play action. I think this guy's going to have a field day. And he's been getting, even last week, which was like a mediocre day, he still had 9 targets. Addison is killing it. And I'm going to definitely roll Addison here. What gets tough, I do limit this one down to Walker versus MHJ. I think Walker's a step above Kendre. The full PPR one is like, okay, if somebody erupts, it could be MHJ. The matchup is ripe against Carolina. I am leaning MHJ in this one. Charbonnet's been playing so well that I think we're going to get a little bit more of an annoying committee that people expect. Can Walker have a 2-touchdown day? Absolutely. Oh, man, that's so tight. But I'm going to go MHJ. Great matchup against Carolina. Whereas the Vikings are one of the bottom 3 matchups for running backs in a timeshare. Yeah, I'm going to go MHJ very slightly over Walker. And I'm going to go with Jay Dusky. I don't know. I'm just like, but it's Ken Walker, and the man is a beast. And against Detroit, one of the hardest matchups, he had like 30 fantasy points. So, oh, man. Just like I think it through. Again, Locke and Addison. That's an easy one for me. Then it's so tough from there, Jay Dusky. I'm going to go Walker. I just believe in the player enough. Where's Marvin Harrison? He's just been so boom or bust. The matchup is ripe. But, yeah, I'm going to go Addison. I'm going to go Walker. Because then you play the narrative of that game, like shooting out, getting a lot of points back and forth there. Jay Dusky. The other John. What's up, John? Thank you so much for the support. Assuming Pollard plays, Bigsby or Spears. Yeah, I think obviously this wouldn't even be a question if Pollard was ruled out. Spears is potentially a top 12 running back in that sense. But I still go Spears here. You're looking at 2 committee backs, and I'd rather have the one that just came off like a 20-point day in Spears. Pollard's banged up. What if that flares up and we get another featured day for Spears? And even if not, he's the more of the pass catching back here. The red zone snaps were split down the middle last week. I'm leaning Spears there. Bigsby requires the game flow to be in his favor. Now it could against the Raiders, but just that backfield, I don't want anything to do with Etienne or Bigsby. So give me Spears there, other John. Thank you so much for the support. And thank you, Mando, for the support as well. Flex, non-PPR. Rashad White or Jerome Ford? Ooh, good question. I know that White does benefit from the PPR, but he also has been scoring a ton of touchdowns. And that matchup against Dallas is very, very juicy. So it's one of those things I just don't want to trust the anything in a offense led by DTR. You know what I mean? Just, it's never a fun experience. My rankings don't reflect that either, so I'm going to make the quick switch to bump Rashad White above Jerome Ford. But yeah, I'd rather have Rashad White. I feel better about that. Certainly in non-PPR as well, where you're relying on touchdowns. I feel much better about the Bucs' ability to generate scoring opportunities than I do the Browns. And the other thing, too, is like we've seen Ford in a spot where it Chubb's out, and then they just end up feeding Foreman like 15 carries. So it's never as good as you expect it to be. So I'm going to go with Rachaad White for that one. And we got Zach Smith. Thank you so much for the support, Zach Smith. Patrick Taylor or Tyron Tracey Jr.? I got to go with Patrick Taylor here. I had Tyron Tracey, and I would myself love to bench him, and I would in a heartbeat bench him if I had Patrick Taylor. Sadly, I don't. But I, again, love any Kyle Shanahan running back that is in line for duty. 9 of 14 that have been top 24 games, never below 8.9 PPR points as well on the year, the running back. And that was McCaffrey. McCaffrey is the actual worst starting running back for the 49ers all year. Whether it's Garendo, whether it's been Jordan Mason, it's just been a lights out situation for whoever is in the backfield there. So I'm going to go Patrick Taylor and just bank on yet another Shanahan masterpiece for the lead back there. Tracey just makes me nervous with Singletary getting more involved. Not a great run matchup against Atlanta. Bad defense in general, but much better against the run than they are at the pass. So I am going to lean with Taylor over Tracey. All righty. I believe that wraps up the Super Chats. All righty. My throat is a little sore today. Fun night. Christmas party was an absolute blast. But you guys are so kind and so generous with those Super Chats. Thank you again so much for your support of the show. We will move on to quickly just a few more news and notes here. Where are the banners? Week 6 running back news is where we left off. But again, if you want to support your boy for free, that thumbs up button, the heart button, the shares, the retweets, all that good stuff goes such a long way. So thank you again so much for being here. I greatly, greatly appreciate it on the Sunday morning. 1,100 of you here. Very humbling that this many of you pay attention to me with your semifinals on the line, no less either. So thank you guys so much. It is very kind and very generous of you to be here. Alvin Kamara not practicing, as we talked about. Kendre Miller likely to start. And so ultimately, I like it. The fact that he's going to get like 15 to 20 touches, a talented running back. But ultimately, the injuries, the matchup's not great. This offense could get swallowed. I don't love going Kendre Miller. Bucky Irving off the injury report. He will be playing against the Cowboys. Full participation in practice the first time since week 13. Wheels up for Bucky Irving indeed. Kenneth Walker is off the injury report as well. Now, Charbonnet also off the injury report. He had an oblique injury himself. Both backs are playing. With how well Charbonnet has been playing, I do think it might be a closer split than what we were seeing earlier in the year. I don't love going either back, but they are playable today. No doubt about that. More so, Kenneth Walker is who I would trust over Charbonnet. Let me just see where I ended up landing on Walker. I have him at 20. I got to bump him down a little bit. I have him a little too high. But still top 24 running back for me. You know, I can only go so low on a guy so talented, an offense that's been feeding him as much as it has. Garendo out, which leads us to Patrick Taylor. He's been an absolute beast. He's not an absolute beast. What has been an absolute beast is the 49ers run scheme. Again, 9 of 14 weeks, top 24 running back playing in there. 6 of 14 weeks, it's been the top 12 running backs. So I do like Patrick Taylor today. Breece Hall is going to be in. They're saying he is rolling. I think it's wheels up. I play him in a good matchup against the Rams today. Pollard expected to play. Would have been Spears week if not, but it's iffy if you trust Pollard with the chance of re-aggravating and all that. I'd probably, bumping him below Patrick Taylor, for example, I'd rather play. Today feels safer than Pollard. And then last running back note is Tracey is questionable but expected to play today as well. But if I can bench him, I would. Moving on here to the running back position, or rather off the running back to the wide receiver position. Tyreek Hill is questionable, but expected to play today. No Jalen Waddle. I know I got a lot of questions on Reddit yesterday about Tyreek Hill. I got to let the guy up. I know last week was a dud, but 28 points in PPR the week before that, 20 points. The guy he's fine. It's not Tyreek that we're used to. The deep plays just haven't been there. It's not how they're calling the offense. But he's still Tyreek. So I do like going Tyreek this week. He's still a top 10 wide receiver for me. I think that game could be real fun, 49ers versus Miami. A.J. Brown, he's playing. He's off the injury report. And so he's in your lineups. It's pretty simple with A.J. Brown. T. Higgins, good to go. Another one, good to go. He should be in your lineups. Excuse me. So I got coming down with a little bit of coffee. We have Jacoby Myers is good to go off the injury report as well. And so with Aiden O'Connell back, you can certainly trust him much more. He's right back in the top 24 wide receivers for me. Been getting absolutely peppered since Devontae Adams got traded. So I love Jacoby Myers today. Yeah, Jalen Coker, he was listed as questionable, but he's expected to play. No Xavier Legette. Again, I like the guy enough that I'm considering benching Tracey for him or Malik Washington with the Jalen Waddle news that Jalen Waddle is going to be out today. And then the last receiver note, MBS is not practicing. Hopefully at this point of the year with Spencer Rattler at QB, you're not relying on him. Moving to tight ends, and we just have Brenton Strange. He's off the injury report. He is fully healthy. I love him. And Cade Otton not expected to play. More targets for our man, Jalen MCmillan. We will see. But obviously, even more consolidated, explosive attack there. Some big defensive news is that Jair Alexander practicing in full. Tougher matchup for any Saints that you may have been trusting. Hopefully, you're not trusting any passing game products there. Anyways, Zane Gonzalez is going to be the kicker for the Commanders. He's been actually a beast this year. So if you're desperate for a kicker, he is not a bad option. Although I see Will Reichert out there in 90% of leagues. That's where I would pivot to myself. Micah Parsons is questionable, potentially going to miss it. He did not practice on Friday, so we shall see. But it's just an illness, so maybe he is in. And L'Jarius Sneed out for the Titans. That does wrap up all of the news and notes. So the rest of the time is going to be for you guys here. And we are right back to the Super Chats. And my goodness, Robert Mitchell Prophet, so kind and generous of you, a $20 Super Chat. You're a legend. That is so kind. Happy holidays to you. Thank you so much, Robert. Very, very kind of you. Asking, if Pollard is out, would you go Spears or Ford? So it does seem like, I believe as of last night, Adam Schefter tweeted that Pollard is expected to go. However, if we do get the news twist here that Pollard is ruled out, I would 10 out of 10 times go Tajay Spears. We already saw last week the upside of this guy, very, very talented. When he gets the volume, he produces at a very high rate. So I love Tajay Spears today if Pollard's ruled out. But as of right now, Pollard is expected to play. And so in a committee, I'd rather lean on Ford in that case. I know it's DTR. I don't love going to that offense. But it's like on the other side, we're talking about Mason Rudolph. You know what I mean? So, yeah, give me Jerome Ford in that one. All righty. That wraps up our Super Chats. That wraps up all the news. So we are on to the mailbag. Thank you again. That is so kind and generous of you, Robert. The $20 Super Chat. Happy holidays, brother. That's extremely, extremely generous. I nothing else to say, but you've humbled me completely. And again, go Spears if Pollard's ruled out, but otherwise I'm going Jerome Ford in that case, Robert. All righty, starting with TJ, Kendre Miller, Jonnu, DK, or McMillan for a flex spot. I like going Jonnu here. No Jalen Waddle. The guy's been an absolute monster. It is Jonnu, then McMillan for me, but I like Jonnu myself, TJ. Mike Oliver asking, Kendre Miller, Metcalf, or Devonta Smith? I'm leaning Devonta Smith for this one. Again, I like that divisional battle. It's not a high pass rate, but Smith, the touchdown last week, Hurts is really cooking right now, Mike. Yo, soy Tony. coming in at, I think, 5:32 p.m. yesterday. Love to see it. Need to start one. Pollard if he plays, Spears if he sits, Walker or Ford. I would probably, it seems like Pollard's going to play, and I would lean with, I think, Walker in this case. Ford, probably the best bet of these guys to be a lead back. One second, I got to cough again. Got to clear the throat, baby. I would lean with, I'm going to go Jerome Ford, coming off that 70-yard touchdown. Maybe, I think Foreman will probably be annoyingly involved, but I do lean that way. We did get another super chat. Thank you, Tyler Perry. Routinely super chatting on the show. I agree. Rashad, what is the era in Seattle? I'm sorry, Tyler. I have no idea what you're asking. Rashard, what is the era in Seattle? I'm sorry, Tyler. I want to make sense of this because you super chatted me. You might be asking what's the weather. I know there were rumblings that there might be rain, potential downpours, but I don't know what you're asking. I'm really, really sorry, Robert. Thank you so much for the support, but I don't know what you're asking at all. I'm sorry. So Tony, Bills or Falcons? D, smash the like button. Thanks, Wolf. Good luck this season. Good luck to you as well. So Tony, you've been the man all year. I do go the Bills. They're my third-ranked defense. Good matchup against New England. Drake May's been good, but it's been turnover prone. So I like the Bills. The Falcons are my fifth-ranked defense. Great matchup against New York too, but I do lean Bills for that one. It does look like we got another super chat. Thank you so much, Galaxy Pickers. Jerry Jeudy, Marvin Harrison, or Jaden Reed for the flex. Ooh. A lot of boomer bust. Again, Jeudy would have been the no-brainer if we had Winston, but with DTR, I don't want to trust him. So I'm leaning Jaden Reed, a horrendous secondary there for New Orleans. So yeah, I think Jaden Reed, my gut just tells me he's blowing up this week. So I like him a lot. Both those guys, Jaden Reed and MSJ, are boom or bust. I do believe in the Jordan Love-led offense just a little bit more than Kyler Murray. And it just the role, Drew Petzing, the passing game attack has just not been great all year for the Cardinals. So I wish they were giving him more layup looks. They're not. I do lean with MHJ in that one. Nicholas Helen, thank you so much for the support. Kendre or Pollard, and Strange or Hawk. We've gotten that one like 4 times already today. A lot of people wondering Strange or Hawkinson, and I do love Brenton Strange. Don't get me wrong, but I got to go TJ Hawkinson. I still, we're talking about the number 2 tight end last year, looking like himself, playing a full role again. I'm letting that rip. I love Brenton Strange, love the 12 targets, love the 11 first read targets. But yeah, I got to roll with that. And then Pollard or Kendre, Kendre's too much risk for me. So I'm going to go with Pollard. He's got a lot of risk himself coming off the injury, but assuming he's in, he must be good enough to play. And when he's in, he's a good bet for 15 to 20 touches. He's looked really solid all year. Kendre, just the injury risk, the tough matchup, the fact this offense could get completely swallowed. He's too big of a risk for me. I don't want to go Kendre this week. All righty. And we do have to make a quick mention here of our presenting sponsor today. Danvers, run by my man, Patrick Bailey, one of my best friends, but also the best mattress out there. I caught one, a V9 hybrid, in my bedroom, and I have never slept better than the Verlo mattress. It is truly, truly incredible. The best night's sleep you can possibly ask for. So definitely check out Verlo mattress in Danvers. If you're local, they have Verlo mattresses all over the country as well if you're not local. Follow Verlo Mattress Danvers on all of your socials as well. Support my boy, but it is that you can get your comfort coach. They'll get you the perfect mattress for you, and they present you our sleepers. So I got 3 sleepers for you today. Not going to worry about quarterback because you guys should not need a sleeper quarterback. If I was going to do one, I guess it would be Cooper Rush against the Tampa Bay Bucks tonight. A great matchup, but hopefully you do not need a sleeper quarterback today. Patrick Taylor is my Verlo sleeper running back of the week. We just know Shanahan's backfield is such a gold mine for backs. I've said the stat already on the show, but just to reiterate again for anybody new, 9 of 14 weeks, we have had a top 24 running back. That's 65% of the time. And 6 out of those 14 weeks have been a top 12, a running back 1. Now, I don't know that he gets there, but they do generate so many scoring opportunities for the backs. And Taylor is a big body, perfect for the zone scheme. I think he is going to be a beast today. Miami is giving up the 4th most touchdowns on the ground as well to backs. So I do like Patrick Taylor. Jalen MCmillan is my Verlo sleeper wide receiver of the week. He is an absolute beast these last 2 weeks with 18 and 20 fantasy points, going absolutely bananas here down the stretch. We've seen it time and time again. A rookie finally gets his role elevated, and he ultimately thrives. So I love Jalen MCmillan. Great matchup. Trayvon Diggs-less Cowboys secondary there. And ultimately, McMillan set back-to-back weeks with season highs in first read targets, season highs in yards per route run. The guy is blossoming right before our eyes in a great spot. I am plus 14 ECR on him. I would love to have him in my lineups today. And the last Verlo sleeper, we've talked about him on a few questions already, as Brenton Strange, the tight end for the Jags. 12 targets last week, 11 of them first read targets, a clearly designed part of the offense, facing off against the Raiders, 4th most points allowed to the tight end position, 4th most receptions allowed to the tight end position as well. Guys in a phenomenal spot to yet again light it up. It's part of the Doug Peterson offense. They just love to pepper their tight ends. So those are my 3 Verlo mattress sleepers of the week. Make sure you check out Verlo Mattress in Danvers, the best. Again, I truly, yes, it's my best friend who runs it. So I do love Pat, and I would hype him up anyways. But I promise you, this is not just to do that. It is such a great mattress. I'm getting the best sleeps of my life on this. I had not been sleeping until I had moved and got this new mattress settled, and it's great. So one last time. Make sure you check them out. We got Nathaniel asking, Addison or Devonta Smith. Thank you so much, Nathaniel, for your support. I would go Addison over Devonta Smith. We talked about it, but Sam Darnold, the Vikings offense, top 5 in play action rate. The Seattle Seahawks, the worst team at defending play action. And ultimately, Addison actually is the highest recipient in terms of fantasy points off play action, target share on play action, all that good stuff. You'd think it'd be Jefferson or Hawkinson. It's actually Addison who has been benefiting the most from the play action game. So I do lean Addison over Smith, and then Taylor or Kendre. And I'm actually doing that move, Nathaniel, in one of my semifinals myself. Taylor or Kendre Miller. As you just saw, the Verlo sleeper of the day is Patrick Taylor. I do feel better about his sleeper upside today than Kendre Miller. I just like the 49ers run environment a bit more. I like the matchup a little bit more with those, again, 4th most touchdowns on the ground surrendered by the Dolphins. And then I just don't trust Kendre Miller. So injury prone. I think this offense could get shut down. We'll see. He is talented. So, a talented guy getting volume always has reason to consider him, but I just personally don't love it. Alrighty. And then Tyler clarifying. Okay. I should have probably, it's Reichard, the kicker, not Richard. But yeah, that makes a little bit more sense. Do I trust him in Seattle weather is asking Tyler. I have to look a little bit more into the weather and as it gets closer to the game time. But 15 points last week and all year, if you add up like the total kicker points, the Vikings kicker, whether it's Reichard or, they had Romo filling in for a bit, they are top 5 in terms of total kicker points on the season as a team. And I buy that. I believe it. It's a good offense. They stall it every now and again. So unless the weather is absolutely horrendous, and in particular the wind, rain isn't that bad for kickers. It's the wind that can be really, really damaging, Tyler. But I do like going Riker today. As of right now, we'll have to check that weather. But I unless it's absolutely horrendous, yeah, I'm fine trusting him. He's a top 5 kicker for me this week. Michael Clark, start 3. Thank you so much, Michael, Tyler, Nathaniel, for your super chats. Start 3, tight end premium. Etienne, McMillan, Hunter Henry, or Stevenson. We got to bench one of these guys, and to me, I'm benching Etienne. I love McMillan. We talked about that Burlow sleeper segment, but huge fan, top 30 wide receiver for me. Love what he's doing. Highest first read rate in back-to-back weeks. Highest yards per out run in back-to-back weeks. Just, again, a young wide receiver just kind of growing into the role. Love him. Stevenson, top 3 matchup for tight ends today, or rather running backs today against Buffalo. Yes, there's the risk of getting game flowed out, but Etienne also has similar game flow concerns, and at least we know Stevenson will start this game and be a big part of what they do from the jump. And Hunter Henry, in tight end premium, I think I use that as the edge here. Like him and Etienne's kind of a coin flip, but I don't like Etienne at all. And Hunter Henry has been one of the highest targeted tight ends when Drake May has taken over. It's never pretty, but yeah, I do think in tight end premium, given that it's a high volume role too, I lean that way. My man Levi C, thank you so much as always coming in with your super chats. You have been so kind and generous all year. I greatly, greatly appreciate you, Levi. Good morning to you. Same question, different week. PPR need 2 from this group. Brian Thomas, Kupp, Kittle, London. Also starting Evans as third receiver. Yeah, you got to have Evans in today. Baker's already said he's on a quest to get this guy to 1,000 yards as he's done every single year of his career. What a beast Evans is. Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. You're absolutely playing him in a great matchup tonight against the Dallas Cowboys. Love that one, Sunday Night Football shootout, baby. In terms of the others, this is a brutal question each and every week, Levi. Your team is just too good. I lean here, I think Brian Thomas and Drake London. Kittle's very, very tempting. I think Kupp is the third on my list. That 0 last week scares me. Do like the matchup. The Jets have suddenly become a matchup to target, not one to fade. And you got to think, after 0, he's the type of guy that does rebound big time. Still, though, Penix, he's got a cannon. The guy is definitely one of the best outside passing quarterbacks to come into this from this class. That's already been very impressive. And you think maybe the rookie latches on to his true number 1 there. So I like Drake London a lot. And then I do love Brian Thomas. How do you not play that guy? We finally, Mac Jones, the big risk, the big worry, right? And then ultimately has a huge day last week. So we know the ceiling still exists with Mac Jones. The floor has been sky high lately as well, Levi, with Brian Thomas. So I'm going to go Thomas and I'm going to go London for this one. Best of luck, Levi. Thank you so much for all your generous support all year. And for the second one, thank you so much again. Coming in, Levi, with another super chat. Pick 2. Hall, Walker, Charb, Stevenson, and Kendre. Breece Hall is definitely my favorite of this, and then I do lean into Stevenson. I know the game flow risk, as we've talked about, but third most points allowed to backs. I think they're going to try as hard as they can, the Pats, to feed Stevenson early, and you get that touchdown early, you're feeling great, and that's how I feel this game will play out there for Ramondre. So I'm going to go Breece Hall. I'm going to go Ramondre Stevenson for that one. Thank you so much, Levi, again. You're consistent, super chatting, your support of your guy. Very humbling. We got Dynasty Dumpster, half PPR, asking BTJ or Hall. Oh, that's a good one. I'm leaning Brian Thomas again for those reasons we were just talking about. We've seen it confirmed. Mac Jones can still help him reach the ceiling. The Raiders have actually been pretty good at limiting big plays, but we're seeing more and more design screens. And is Brian Thomas the best receiver of this class? I mean, I think that's going to go to Malik Neighbors eventually once he has a real quarterback. But as a fantasy product right now, it is BTJ. Breece Hall, meanwhile, love the guy. I think he's a good play today. But yeah, Isaiah Davis stealing some receiving work. Looks like Braylon Allen's going to play, so that's a risk of a touchdown being vultured. They're both great plays. I'm sitting here like, I don't know. Might go back and forth a little bit there. But I'm going to go BTJ. And then PPR, Chuba, Taylor, or BTJ in a different league, I imagine. This is a really good one. So I heard the stat on Chuba, in terms of points in wins versus losses. He's averaging nearly 20 points in wins versus, I think it's down to like 12 points. It's about an 8-point split. So, or wins versus, or they don't have many wins, but like wins are leading is where that stat came from, because they just pound him when they're up. But I don't think they win against Carolina, against Arizona, which is where that's leading. And so I'm not as high on Chuba. I do have him above Taylor, but I still think I'm just going to BTJ, especially in full PPR. So talented. And the Raiders, again, limited deep plays, sure, but not great defense by any means. So I think BTJ will get there. Thank you again so much, Dynasty Dumpster Fire, for the support. And thank you, Bradley Erla, for the super chat. Sit one. Patrick Taylor, Swift, or Jacoby. To me, Swift's the easy sit for me. I love Jacoby against the Jags. With Aiden O'Connell back, I feel even better about him today, Bradley. So, yeah, I think Jacoby's in a great spot. And then Patrick Taylor, again, the Verlo sleeper of the day, who we were talking about. But 14 weeks, 9 times has a starting running back for the Niners been a top 24. 6 times they've been a top 12 guy. It's just a beautiful scheme. Never below 8.9 as well. PPR points for the lead running back in Shanahan's offense this year. It's just such a great scheme. And so I'm going to go Jacoby. I'm going to go Taylor. Swift, you got Roschon coming back. Really dependent on big plays and facing a bottom 3 matchup against the Detroit Lions, even though they are banged up. So it's a better matchup in general than it used to be. It's still a rough spot. Brandon McQuarter asking, Jonnu Smith, Brock Bowers, Keenan Allen, Shakir, Jennings, St. Brown need a comeback victory. All right, let's go. So he's down. He needs the comeback. We're going to help you get there, Brandon. Thank you so much for your generous super chat. You got to play Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's in each and every week. You got to play Brock Bowers, absolute lock tight end. Good matchup today as well against the Jags. And you got Aiden O'Connell back. I mean, absolute smash spot for Bowers. Then it gets tough. So you're locking in those two. I think without Jalen Waddle today, I'm going to go with Jonnu. I don't know. I mean, you got Allen in a good match against Detroit. Great spot. Shakir has been the boy for Josh Allen. And then Juwan Jennings has been a beast all season when it's not, pouring or snowing since Ayuk left out. He's been a top 15 wide receiver in those 3 games with Purdy since Ayuk was out and the weather wasn't insane. So it comes down to Jennings versus Jonnu for me for the 3rd spot. I'm definitely locking in ASB or Bowers. Miami just has been very tough against wide receivers all year, too. So, yeah, give me Jonnu in this one. I think he's going to feast today. We're up to 40 super chats. You guys are so kind and generous. PJ Nasty asking, start 2, Cup, London, or Bucky needs upside. You need upside. You got to get Bucky in there against the Cowboys. That's about as juicy as it gets, PJ Nasty. And then Cup versus London. If you need upside, I think it's Cooper Kupp. I think both, I have London a little bit higher in the rankings, but if I'm going for upside, I look at what happened to the Jets last week with Brian Thomas, and he was running wide open on some of those routes. So even though I do like London a little bit more, I'm going to go Kupp over him if I need the upside. But Bucky for sure. But what if London and Penix come out with a great rapport? That there is upside to him too. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, I'm going to lean Kupp and Bucky for that one, PJ Nasty. And Brian coming in with a super chat, but I don't know what the question is. It looks like Campanelli has clicked on it. I'm just trying to find it myself. I'm going to zoom in real quick. Hold on so I can read this. Thank you, Campanelli, the moderator, doing the Lord's work. He says, please help. I need one starter for the last flex spot, half PPR, Pollard, Dowdle, or Smith-Njigba. So I would say this one certainly comes down to JSN and Dowdle. And I'm leaning JSN unless that weather is looking absolutely atrocious today. So if it's windy and the rain is just an absolute downpour, something to certainly track, Brian. But as of right now, I think against the blitz-heavy team, Smith-Njigba against the blitz has been heavily peppered. Tons of fantasy points per route run against the blitz. So I love JSN. That'll obviously cooking right now too. Again, 130 in back-to-back games, 130 plus. So it's very close, very tight. But yeah, I go JSN, and I love your starting lineup. I would not change anything about that either. So good stuff, Brian. Thank you so much for the support. And then we got a couple more super chats coming in. Thank you again so much, guys. Very, very kind and generous today. Maddie Speck saying, McMillan or Pollard? I would go... I'm going to go McMillan. I think there's just too much risk there with Pollard. Ultimately, what if he re-aggravates it? We saw last week he kind of just got sat in the second half. Meanwhile, McMillan walking into a beautiful spot, back-to-back weeks with the highest route share, highest first read target share, highest yards per run. Like everything's just trending the right way for McMillan. I don't think it's a fluke. I believe in the player. So yeah, I'm leaning Jalen McMillan, Maddie Speck, over Pollard. Tien Nguyen, thank you so much for the support, for the super chat, for always being here each and every Sunday. You're the man. Happy PR. Devonta Smith, Tyreek Hill, B-Rob, Pat Taylor Jr. Please rank and sit one. I would rank these Tyreek Hill as like a tier above the other guys. I know, sketchy last week. I get it. But still, no Jalen Waddle. Last year in these situations, he averaged 45% first read target share when Jalen Waddle was out. So, huge fan of Tyreek. B-Rob scares me a little bit this week against Philly, but he's been just rock solid in general. I would probably rank these Tyreek, B-Rob, Devonta, Pat Taylor is how I would rank them. So I guess I sit Pat Taylor. He's like the most unknown of these, even though, again, I love him. He's my, Burlow sleeper of the day. I think he is in a great spot. 49ers running backs have just crushed all year, but you just got good options, Tian. That's really what it comes down to. And I just trust the other talents a little bit more. You don't know if Izzy ends up working in, all that good stuff. So, yeah, I'm going to sit Taylor of those options, Tian. Thank you so much for the super chat. Joe Castles, thank you so much for your super chat as well. We got Walker, B-Rob, Kendre, Ford, and Stevenson, Patrick Taylor. Whew. Great backfield. We got to have three of them. So I'm going to play B-Rob. I'm going to, I know the Eagles matchup scary, but no Eckler. This guy has been a beast. And then in close games, even more so, he gets like the full workload when they keep it close. And I think against the Eagles, they're gonna need him. So I like B-Rob. I like Stevenson in the third best matchup for backs. Between the other three, I think I lean Jerome Ford. I don't love the DTR offense, but 70-yard touchdown last week looked great. No Chubb. Yeah, I'm going to lean Jerome Ford there. So give me Ford, Stevenson, and Walker, Joe Castles. I don't trust Kendre Miller myself. And then Walker, man, he's so tough to sit, though. He's awesome, great player. Man. Yeah, I'm going to go Stevenson, B-Rob, and Jay Ford, though. They're my favorite three options, Joe. Just very, very tough question. Oh, man. All righty. That does wrap up these super chats. And Wolfpack, we have about 20 minutes left in the show and a ton of questions to breeze through. So I am going to set the timer for 20 minutes, and I'm going to hit the rapid fire because I want to make sure to get to as many questions as we possibly can. So give me just 1 second to get the timer. Thank you again. 43 super chats. So kind and so generous of you guys during this holiday season. 20-minute timer. All righty. Give me just 1 sec. And that starts now. All righty. So rapid fire. One last call to 1,300 of you here before I start the timer. 1,400 of you here. Love to see it. RotoStreetJournal.com is where you can find all of the updated rankings, where you can support your boys. Tons of great articles. I have one up there, a breakdown on some of the biggest sleepers of the day in terms of Patrick Taylor, Kendre Miller, Jalen MCmillan, and Brenton Strange. So check that one out if you haven't already. You want an in-depth breakdown of all of those guys. But your rapid fire starts now. And a free way to help your boy is that thumbs up button. If you enjoy what you're hearing, 1,300 of you again here, that heart button, the thumbs up would be so greatly appreciated. Thank you again for being here. Let's fire this thing up. So I am going to go Njoku over Kincaid Yoso Tony. Great with DTR, good metrics. Maybe the only guy that benefits from him. He's still better with Jameis, but still, he's okay. I'm going to go McMillan over MHJ, Ryan Job. I'm going to go Jennings over McMillan, Ross H. I'm going Kendre over Tajay. Unless we do Kimberly get Pollard ruled out, then it'd be a smash for Tajay. But for right now, I go Kendre. Brunil, I'm going to go JSN and BTJ. For the flex, I'm going to go Terry. I'm going to go London. I'm going to go BTJ. And running back 2, I'm going to go B-Rob. Best of luck, Brunel. Joel, I have Cup and Garrett starting. Should I keep Reed on the bench? Yeah, I'd start those guys over Reed myself. Lost Kamara, who should I start? Kendre, Spears, or Abdullah? I would go with Kendre on this one. Yeah, Gus Bus on the bench. There's no way you are starting him, though, Joel. Lucio asking, Neighbors or London? I would go Neighbors very slightly over London. And then Brees or MHJ? I'm going to go Brees for that one. Sorry, excuse me. I had to cough again, clear the throat. All right, Giuseppe Russo. I'm going to go Strange of the tight ends here. I'm going to go Indy over Tampa, and I'm going to go Thielen of those flex options, Giuseppe. Thank you. Campanelli doing the Lord's work in the mod chair here. So we appreciate it. Indeed, he's watching out for spam. Thank you. And TN, we super chatted that one already. Thank you so much for that support. King Retros, half PPR. Need 1 receiver, 2 running backs, and 1 flex. You're definitely playing Mike Evans today for the receiver. You're playing Taylor and Hubbard. And then I'm doing Terry McLaurin in the flex King Retros for the other option. Hemdog, what's going on? I would go Hall of those running back options, Hemdog over Ford Miller. I know you got Dowdle ahead of Brees, but I still am going Dowdle. He's just been so safe, Mackenzie Crawford. Ben Madry, Goff or Darnold? I am going to go with Darnold, and I'm going to go White over Pollard. Thoughts on Coker? Asked Emil. I'm intrigued, certainly intrigued. Don't know if I'm starting him if I don't have to, but not a bad sleeper by any means with Leggett out and blowing up last week. My Holy Cross boy, love it. PPR, need a receiver and a flex. Brown, Devontae, Bucky, or Cook. I am going to go Bucky, and he needs a receiver. I go Devontae. You gotta keep cooking with Devontae. So I go Devontae, and I go Bucky for that one. Glenn Brock, help. I will do my best. Full PPR, need 2 receivers, 1 flex. Dobbs, DeMario, Darnell, Reed, Jawan, and Komet. I'm going to go Darnell and Reed for the receivers. And then for the flex, I'm going to go – it's tough to go Dobbs when you already have Reed in there. So I would go DeMario. Glenn, best of luck. Oh, yeah, so that was clarifying a super chat earlier. Thank you again, Fusion, for your support. Kicking off the super chats today. Tayson Sant, start 1. Ford, Etienne, Taylor, Tracy, or Stevenson. I think I like Stevenson of this group, which I need to change my rankings and make sure they reflect there. We did get a super chat from my guy, Virginia Man, coming in every week with these super chats. So we'll be back with the rapid fire in just a second. But thank you again, Virginia Man. Pick 2 standard league. Neighbors, Tyreek, Jennings. Love the show. Love you, Virginia. Always coming in with your super chats. You're very kind and generous. I would go Tyreek. I think he blows up again, 45% first read share without Jalen Waddle last year. I go Neighbors. I know standard league touchdowns are more important, and the Giants have just 2 passing touchdowns in 9 weeks, which is absurd. But it's just a good matchup. The volume is so good. He leads all players, not even just receivers, in expected fantasy points. I'm going to trust the volume. I'm going to go with Neighbors and Tyreek for that one, Virginia man. Thank you again so much for your super chats. You're so kind and generous there. All righty, we were at Rapid Fire back in action. Hold on. Sorry, lost my place. We were at Michael. Michael DeGangi, finally a new question. I know you always have that same question each and every week. PPR, need one. Spears, Patrick Taylor, or Madison. Unless Pollard's ruled out, Michael, which doesn't seem likely. It seems like Pollard is expected to play. I would go Patrick Taylor. Love that 49ers backfield. That is where I am leaning. Benny T coming in with a super chat. Thank you so much, Benny. Greatly appreciate it. Need one flex, PPR. Thielen, Patrick Taylor, Kendre Miller, Jalen MCmillan, or Metcalf. I'm leaning McMillan. I love McMillan today. Just slightly over Metcalf, who they've talked about wanting to feed. But I love McMillan, the matchup for the Cowboys, the way he's trending, back-to-back weeks with first read target shares, the highest of the season, back-to-back weeks with yards per run, highest of the season. He's just blossoming right before our eyes. I love McMillan, and I would actually go him over DK Metcalf. So, yeah, it's crazy, but that is where I am leaning. Thank you so much for the support. All righty, Greg, thank you for the video and happy holidays. Happy holidays to you, Greg. Purdy or Goff? I'm going Purdy. Kittle, Myers, or Jaden Reed for the flex. I'm going to go with Kittle. And, yeah, I got to get McBride in there. Guys getting in the end zone for sure today. Tur Crow, Pollard hard to trust. Addison Weather, Spears, or JMO. I go Addison even with the weather. Love him today. Bulldog, Taylor or Kendre Miller. I'm going Patrick Taylor over Kendre, but I have an in-depth breakdown on both those guys at rotostreetjournal.com if you guys want to check that out, where all our rankings will be as well. PPR for Shiznit. I would go McMillan. Yep. And, yeah, good lineup. Trust level in Pollard. I don't love to trust him, Tito. Depends what the other options are, though. Custo Hockey. Going with Cooper Rush as my quarterback today. I love it. Stat Stroud. I have Cooper Rush ahead of Stroud in my rankings. Let's ride indeed, Custo. Good luck. I love Cooper Rush today. Metcalf or Thielen. I'm going to go with DK very, very slightly over Thielen. They've talked about wanting to feed him this week for Mad Max. Ryan Ross, for Dowdle, Cook, Connor, Patrick, pick 3. I am going to go with Cook. I am going to go with James Conner. And I'm going to go with Dowdle. Pretty easily for me there, Ryan. We did get another super chat. So 827 is the previous one. Ski Socks, full PPR. Kyler or Caleb? I would go with Kyler for sure. I'm not a Caleb guy ever. And that typically serves me well. Rodgers and one. Oh, yeah. Rodgers is close to Kyler, but I still go Kyler for that. One flex. Scary Terry, Laporta, or Pollard. This one comes down to Laporta or Scary. It's very close, actually, because Laporta is starting to kill it. But I do go with Scary Terry. He's been an absolute beast, Ski Socks. I know Philly, not the best of matchups, but he has been a Philly killer in the past. And he's so red hot right now. The clear, far and away #1 target for this offense. So, yeah, I would roll with that. We already answered that one for Ryan Ross, which is where we left off. Oh, we got another super chat. So this is where we left off, but we're going back to the super chat here for Bourbon 07. Need to start 2 out of McLaurin, White, Miller, and DK. To me, it's very clearly McLaurin and White as my favorite 2. Again, they're going to reportedly pepper DK, try to give him the ball, but he just has not. It's been 4 weeks in a row where he's been very, very underwhelming. Meanwhile, McLaurin absolutely killing it. Touchdown machine. Tough matchup, but I still ride that. And then White in a beautiful spot tonight against Dallas. Bucky fully healthy, going to get the majority of the workload. Love Bucky to blow up, but I think both these backs, we've seen it plenty of times where they both get in the end zone. They both perform well. So I'm going to go McLaurin, and I'm going to go Rachaad White there. All righty, back to the rapid fire. Pollard or Christian Watson is what I'm guessing. Opponent has Kendre, Green Bay. I would go with Pollard over Watson. One running back, two receivers, and a flex. Tyron Tracey, Patrick Wilson. I think you mean Patrick Taylor is my guess. Tajay Spears or Ray Davis. I'm going to go Patrick Taylor. That's who you meant. And then I'm going to go Jawan Jennings and McMillan over JMO Robert. Nomad Max, I have plenty of love for the regular chat, but I have more love for the people willing to pay for my content. What would you had somebody that's willing to pay you to do something or do it for free? What would you choose, Mad Max? Pretty easy answer. Come on. Don't be a tool. Should I start Watson over Pollard? We already answered that one. I'm going Pollard. We got McMillan, Rome, Kendre, or Patrick. I'm going to go with McMillan, Chaiwan. And then we got Brian Robinson, Ken Walker, Wilson, sit one. I would sit Ken Walker for that one, Jeff. Thank you so much. Colts or Cardinals, D. I'm going to go Colts. E. Macho, top of the morning to you as well. Great to see you as always. Happy holidays indeed. Emmanuel, I believe you super chat this one, but I'm going to go Bucky Irving over T. Higgins very slightly. Terry, Keenan, Jennings, Ridley, start two. I am going to go with Terry and Jennings myself. Why is it not clicking? There we go. Trolling Force. Njoku or Strange? I'm going Strange. I have that exact same question. Am I playing Hall, Miller, or Taylor, or McMillan? I am going Breece Hall for that one, E. Macho. 1 point PPR, Ken Walker or Tracy. One more, 1 point PPR. Start Ertz or Pitts. Have a Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you too. I'm going to go Ken Walker, and I'm going to go Ertz, Phantom. Start 2 PPR, Swift, Walker, Charbonnet, Miller, or Abdullah. I'm going to go Walker and Miller, Blue Blood, sorry. My man Toons, half PPR. Need a running back, receiver, and a flex. Stevenson, Taylor, Kendre, Miller. We don't have any receivers in there, but I do like Stevenson the most of the wide receivers. I mean, of the running backs. Got to pick one to bench. JSN, Garrett Wilson, DJ Moore, or Tyreek Hill. Very, very tough to bench one of those, but I would bench DJ Moore. Pollard or Watt. Stop repeating yourself. I would go Stafford over AR. Here's Tunes with the real question. Oh, God, Tunes, the fucking essay. Sorry for the language. My bad with that language. I would go Stevenson, and then I would go Drake London and Devonta. We did get a super chat, so let me pounce over to that. Thank you so much, William. Pick 2 PPR, Ramondre, Pollard, White, Kendre Miller, Ford. I would go White, and I would go Ramondre for this one, William. Thank you so much for the super chat. Lots of interesting options all in the same tier. But yeah, I love the Buffalo matchup. I know they could get game flowed out, but top 3 points allowed 2 backs. And then Rachaad White, great matchup against Dallas as well. I think both backs get into the end zone for that one. All righty, we were at Florida Boy. Adams, JSN, or B-Rob. I would go with Adams. Sorry, this is glitching. Debo or Malik Washington. I would go Malik Washington. And I do got to run after this one, so Aaron Jones, JSN, McLaurin. I'm going JSN. I love him. Already, Wolfpack. I just got the call. I got to get running to a meeting. Thank you so much, Wolfpack. Best of luck. The timer's going off. Week 16. Get those championships. Get into the berths. Let's go. RocheJournal.com is where you can find all the rankings. The world of fantasy sheep. Be the wolf. Later, guys.